Erev Tov. We're in Derech Hashem Chelek Aleph, Perek Gimel, Os Yud. So just to recap what we did last time, the whole subject is talking about Minha Anoshi, about humankind, what the humanity is all about. And the beginning spoke a few weeks ago, so we spoke about the fact that it has to be Bechira, it has to be free will, man should make his own choice. And Os Beis said that besides having lure to each side, there should be an inclination to both good and evil. Thank you. But more than that, Hashem made that man itself should be comprised of two halves that are opposites. There's a guf and a neshama, and each one is inclined to his nature. So the guf is inclined towards physicality, and the neshama to spirituality. And they have a yachas gomlin, what's called interrelationship, in a way that each one affects the other. And if the neshama wins out and pulls the person to do to listen to the Yetzer Tov, to the good inclination, so then the guf is also elevated. If the guf wins out, so then it's going to bring down the neshama. We'll see more about that today, B'ez Hashem. After that, he mentioned that the time of avoda, this ishtadlus that we're doing to do the mitzvahs, is limited. There's a limited ishtadlus, but the schar is going to be nesach nesachim, is going to be eternal. The difference between the time that we're in this world, when the time of avoda is different inherently than the time that's going to be the time of the schar, because at this time we have to have an equal balance, equal inclination towards either side. It also wouldn't be a fair choice, not for good, neither for evil. It has to be balanced. But in the time of olam haba, the time of the schar, so it has to be dafka that the guf should not have any pull or inclination on the person, because then he's going to be diminished from the closeness to Hashem. The schar is not just the outside schar, it's a schar of being close to Hashem. So it has to be that the person should be fully able to connect to Hashem, and not that the guf should be in the way, not that the guf is going to be there, but it's not going to be interfering in a way that is going to be pulling towards materialism, away from Hashem. It's going to be drawn after the neshama. But then, what we saw last week was that there's a big difference between humanity before the sin of Adam Rishon and after the sin of Adam Rishon, and two main points were changed. One is that it is not anymore an even balance. It means Adam Rishon, he tipped the scale before the sin, when he was first created, so then it was equal balance towards good and bad. But once he did the sin, so he tipped the scale, and then it became more difficult, both quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative because he has to go back to the level that he was, and then get to where he was supposed to get. Like we said, the mashallah, if somebody comes into the ground floor, he's supposed to go a floor up, and he went instead floor down, so he has to go up 2 floors. So mankind, by going down, so now he has much more work to do, and not only quantitative but also qualitative, because now the evil that became ingrained in him is be'etzem. It means that he did it to himself, and he became inherently evil, whatever evil he did by the sin. And that was the whole purpose of the plan, that man should do it by himself, and that he should be inherently good. It means he should acquire the goodness inherently, and the fact that he did it himself, ve'etzem, and he did the opposite, and he internalized into himself the evil inherently. So it's going to be a qualitative difficulty also to rise out of that and to get to where he's supposed to be. The second point that he said that changed because of the sin of Adam Rishon is the effect that the neshama could have on the guf. As he explains first, that the original plan would be that not only does the neshama get elevated, but it's able to also elevate the guf in a way that, even though the guf is a creation that inherently doesn't have connection to Hashem, it's dark, as we'll see. Darkened means that it doesn't have effect, it's not influenced, it's not able to be a receptacle for the influence of Hashem, but the neshama has in its nature that it's able to purify and elevate the guf. That was the original plan, that man could have elevated his guf without having to go through death. It wasn't necessary to have died before the Chet of Adam Rishon, as Hashem said, that was the creed on mankind only after the sin. That means that without the sin, he would have been able to get to the level that he's supposed to without having to die. And as he does the mitzvahs, as he's doing whatever, the one mitzvah that was at the time of not eating from the Eitz Hadas, if he would have been successful until Friday night, until Shabbos, when he's created on Friday, so then he would have succeeded in purifying his guf higher and higher until he would be zocha with the guf and the neshama to merit the closeness to Hashem forever, based on that mitzvah that he did. But because he failed and he sinned. So then the form of man and his guf is already mekulkal, it's already ruined in a way that it can't be rectified, and therefore there has to be an overhaul, so to speak. So there has to be death, and then the guf, both the physical guf and whatever is inherent in the guf that is not tangible, has to be decomposed and rebuilt again, and then the neshama could come into it and then accomplish what it was supposed to have accomplished originally. And also the world also should have been, according to the original plan, that it would have been able to be elevated through man's actions. He'd elevate the world, and Olam Hazeh would become Olam Haba. That was the point that we wanted to make mention of, that this world is transformed into Olam Haba. It doesn't say it openly, but there's many nuances in the Ramchal, different places where it's pretty beferish, that here's one of the main places that if not for the sin, the world itself would have been elevated. It means the Chiddush HaOlam doesn't mean a different planet. It means the same world is just like renovations. It's mitchadesh, mechadesh olam. That means that this world has in it the ability in koach to become olam haba, but we have to elevate it. The same way man elevates himself, he's also elevating the world. And everything that's here, in every physical form, it's elevated to a spiritual form in a way that it becomes a medium of connection to Hashem. So man would have been elevated to be able to be connected to Hashem, and the world would have become elevated to be a olam haba, a medium, wherever that medium is. We don't know what it is. We're not able to comprehend that in our physical state now. But the way the Ramchal says in Das Tunis that Gan Eden also was trees and fruit and eating, but it shouldn't be understood on a very gross, physical, gorilla-like mode. But even though it's called fruit and it's eating, but it's still a spiritual sense. And we're supposed to elevate our world to become a olam haba. And just to make a side point, that when the Mesilas Yesharim in the beginning, the first parak, he talks about tikkun olam, and he brings about the stones that Yaakov Avinu put his head on, and that was the tikkun for the stones, and the sun, that it says that when Hashem, the Or HaGanuz, that Hashem made in the first day, and then it was set aside, and when on Yom Revi'i, Hashem made the sun and the Ma'oros, the sun and the moon and the stars. So what happened to the original light that Hashem made on the first day? So the Gemara says that it was Niglas Tzadikim Laslavo, and over there it says that the Or Tzadikim Yismach, there was a tikkun for the sun. There's something about elevating the sun. When we do mitzvahs, we're supposed to elevate the sun, the trees, the stones. What does all that mean? What are we elevating? So that's the point of transforming it to become olam haba. So that he says it would have happened without having a necessity to go through any decomposure. But just like man, after he was mitkalkel, so then it's not possible, and he has to go through misa and hefsed, and then Tchias HaMeisim. So too the world has to go through a Chorban and Yachzav v'Yechudash, and that's going to be the Chiddush HaOlam. So that's as far as we got the past couple of weeks, and we're up to Os Yud, which in the standard edition is page 26, with the translation 52. V'nei Os Yud. So Chelak Aleph Paragimel Os Yud. V'nei Lefi Shorish Zeh Zman Hagmul Amiti Dahainu Zman Kibul HaSachar Shezachanu Lamala U'Makomo Hu Achra Tchiyah Ba'olam Meseias Chadesh. According to what we just explained, the principles that we explained, so the time and the place of the true reward is after Tchias HaMeisim in the renewed world. Means that man is renewed and the world is renewed. That'll be a state where a man will be able to enjoy both with his guf and the neshama. Means Tchias HaMeisim is not only, that's what the words mean. Tchias HaMeisim means not only the soul alone, but it means the soul and the body. The body is also going to be part of the eternal reward of Nene Miziv HaShechina, to bask in the radiance of the Shechina. So here it says that that's going to happen, that the guf and the neshama are both going to be enjoying, that the guf is already going to have been purified by the neshama, and be prepared, be able to enjoy that eternal good. So the real reward, he says the Gemula Amiti is because he's going to tell us soon a different stage of reward, which is not the ultimate reward. The Olam Haba, what do you call Tchias HaMeisim? Olam Haba and Tchias HaMeisim is the one and the same. And the Rambam and Ramban talk about this, but Ramban brings many proofs from Chazal that Olam Haba and Tchias HaMeisim is one and the same. Not to think that Tchias HaMeisim is a temporary state, and then the eternal reward will be the neshama alone, but which the Rambam might have thought. But the Ramban, he proves from many places in Chazal that the Tchias HaMeisim is Olam Haba. The eternal reward is not the neshama alone. The eternal reward is going to be the guf and the neshama together, and that's going to be the subject today. that there is a time when the neshama is separate and by itself, but that, the Ramchal is going to say, the same as the Ramban, that the time of the neshama being alone is only, that's what's temporary. It means when a person dies, so then the neshama is separated from the guf, and that's temporary. But then when it's going to come rejoined again, the Tchias HaMesim, that's going to be eternity. Just to mention one of the biggest proofs that the Ramban brings, the one I was impressed with, that when the Gemara says in the Chelek, the last parak in the Sanhedrin, so it talks about Kol Yisrael Yesh Lam Chelek Olam Haba, famous Mishnah, Veilu She'en Lehem Chelek Olam Haba, and it has a list of those that have no portion in the world to come, and it says one of them is a Kofar B'Tchias HaMesim. If somebody denies that there's going to be the revival of the dead, and the Gemara talks about why should that be? Why should a person who's Kofar B'Tchias HaMesim, why should lose Olam Haba? So the Gemara says because he denied it, he doesn't get it. So the Gemara uses the words Olam Haba and Tchias HaMesim interchangeable. It says, why doesn't he get Olam Haba? Because he denied Tchias HaMesim, and if you deny it, you don't get it. So it seems to be open, it's clear that the Gemara understood that Tchias HaMesim and Olam Haba is one and the same. He brings other rayos also. It seems to be clear, and the Ramchal goes like that, the Mukubalim go like that the Tchias HaMesim is Olam Haba. It's interchangeable. These words of Olam Haba and Tchias HaMesim are one and the same. So the true time of reward is going to be Tchias HaMesim in the Olam, in the renewed world. And again, the reason why he says the true reward is because we'll be learning something tonight about something which is not the ultimate eternal reward, but it's also going to be a temporary reward.
The only question about that is, of course, if you believe in Gilgulim.
Yes. How does Gilgulim affect this? There is such a thing as Gilgulim. Right. But why does that affect this issue? It means when a person dies and the neshama is separated from the guf, right. So in order to fix up things that he missed out on his first round, so it's possible to come again. So it's a neshama and a guf. It might be a different guf, but it's another chance for the neshama to fulfill what it didn't. But it doesn't mean that that's the eternal reward. The eternal reward is going to be Tchias HaMesim when the neshama and the guf get together. There might be some difficulties that we don't understand, that which guf is going to be connected with, how is it going to look. There are difficulties that the Ramchal is going to talk about Gilgul later on in the Sefer. But that doesn't affect the question that the ultimate reward is going to be Tchias HaMesim when the neshama and the guf are reunited. So this paragraph said that the ultimate reward is in Tchias HaMesim and Olam Haba. ואולם יבחנו שם האנשים וססחלף מדרגסם ומעלסם כפי אשר מה שתוכו בעולם העבודה וכפי מה שהשתדלו להשיג מן השלמות. It isn't that Olam Haba is like a ballroom, the hall, and you come in. If you gained entry, so then you're in. It isn't like that. Each person gets assigned a certain table, so to speak. That not everybody's the same. It isn't that if you got in, you're all eligible to the same reward. Each person is going to be discerned, as he says, Yibochenu. There's going to be a distinction between different people, and their levels and qualities are going to be different according to the amount that they exerted and they were able to succeed in this world. It means that people are only going to be zocha on different levels. There's a certain red line that if someone doesn't make it into Olam Haba, he doesn't get in at all. But even though someone does get in, that means that he's in. But that doesn't mean that everyone's the same. There are different levels. There could be a person who's zocha to the minimal level of Olam Haba, and that person gets higher. Each person according to what he accomplished in this world. Some Swarm, they think that the word ukfima she'eshtadlu lahasig, the word in the modern Hebrew, we use the word hishtadl to mean to try, excluding accomplishment. And some wanted to understood that this Ramchal is coming to say according to what they exerted themselves, not according to what they accomplished, but according to what they tried.
Yeah, but isn't that the goal of all of RABBIS Hashem is trying?
And also to accomplish. It's not. There's a difference between the exertion. The Fum Sar Agra means that there's also a factor of the effort that you put in and how much you troubled yourself in order to do a mitzvah. But it doesn't mean that that's the only criteria. There are other factors also. The factor is the factor of the accomplishment. There's also a difference. It means if you just say that the exertion is the issue, how much you tried, so then it wouldn't make a difference what a person really accomplished, just according to how much he tried. And there are many proof. We gave a mashal a couple of weeks ago, I think, that if what is that?
When you said about the shleimus.
The shleimus, that as the point alone that Ramchal explained that the mitzvahs bring shleimus, that means that there's something inherent in the mitzvah. How much he tried, the Ramchal explained that that's how much it becomes his. The 2 points of exerting himself, making it a difficulty, and that he does it, that's how much it becomes internalized, and it's inherently him. But there's a shleimus at hand. The mashal would be that if there are two people, one was in a bad neighborhood and a bad environment, bad education, and he went up a little bit. There wasn't a murderer or just a ganav. And the other person that was born with a good education and a good environment and a good upbringing, and he He didn't start at all. It wasn't even a question. Surely not a Gana. What's the question? He's much higher Madrega. Should he make Gamach and work 3 hours a day on it? Or that was his Nisayon. So that doesn't mean that the other person, just because he tried, is going to be on the same level. So how come Hashem made that some people could accomplish what other people cannot accomplish? That's not really our business. How come some people are endowed with a situation where they could get a higher madrega? We don't know. But not all men are created equal. It's not true. All men are not created equal. Men are created different, and each one is supposed to accomplish what he's supposed to. And if his shleimus would be to get 20 watt, that's how much he's able to do. So that's his shleimus. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be the same, and that he has even the same ability lachatchila to get to the same level of somebody who's created with more wisdom or whatever it might be, more accomplishment. One person is wise and he's a big Talmud Chacham, so he accomplished more. So there is a factor of how difficult it was for him and what Nisayon. Everyone has Nisayon. There's no such thing as nobody having a Nisayon. Everybody has tests. But the accomplishment is also one of the main factors, is accomplishment and also his effort. So the point that he says Ishtadlus is not to be misunderstood, that it's just judged according to what he exerted himself. Of course, it also means accomplishing. And the Ramchal uses that word very often, we had it earlier, just to point out, in Oz Gimel and Oz Daled. If you look over there, you see the word Ishtadlus doesn't just mean that he exerts himself. It means that's the man avoda. Like we say, avoda and schar. So avoda just means working without accomplishing? No, it means to accomplish. So that's to be understood here also, that the issue is the accomplishment that he did in this world, that he gained, how far he got in his avoda. So the Ramchal's point is to say that even though people are going to merit Olam Haba, it doesn't mean that everyone's on the same level. Each person is going to be on the level that he accomplished for himself. Ki kafi hashir hazet is daher neshama ba'atzma b'sa'ir ba'guf u'tizakecheu. According to that level that he accomplished in this world, that he acquired shleimus, that's how much the neshama is going to shine within itself. These words need explanation, which we'll get to tonight. Tizdaher haneshama ba'atzma. The word tizdaher is the shorish of the word is zohar, to shine. Tizdaher is to shine on of its own. So these words will be explained. What does it mean that the neshama is going to shine? And it's also going to illuminate the guf and purify it. The neshama is a pure being. It doesn't have to be purified, but there is something that he says that is going to let out its shine. So just to put those words on the hold, we'll come back to it in the course of the evening. And both of them the neshama and the guf are going to acquire both level of yakor and mala, of nobility, and they're going to be and they'll be fitting to approach the Master Hashem and to be illuminated with his shine of his countenance and to enjoy his true good. So this paragraph seems to say that, just to sum up, that ultimate reward is going to be Tchias HaMesim in Olam Haba. He makes a point that not everybody is going to be the same level, but each person according to what he accomplished of Shleimus, that's going to be his level in Olam Haba. I don't know how come he finds it necessary to mention it over here, this point about people being different levels of Olam Haba, because l'char this would have been also Adam Rishon Kodam HaChet. Also, humanity that would have been on the level of Adam Rishon without the Chet, l'char also would have been at different levels, each person according to his own. L'char, this point was not something that was nitchadesh only after the sin of Adam Rishon. So I'm not sure why he mentions it over here. Why does he find it necessary over here to talk about the fact that there are different levels? L'chora, maybe I'm wrong, but l'chora before Chet Adam Rishon also would have been each person according to what he accomplished. So I didn't see the Meforshim talking about this point, but I'm leaving it as a question. Why is it something which mentioned over here?
Without Adam Rishon would have come into Olam Haba immediately, no?
But there would have been also Toladot, like he says later on, that there would have been, it was, even if it would not have sinned, also there would have been a certain amount of descendants that he would have had. And he talks about the tree over there. Later on, he talks about Yisrael Wumas HaOlam. Later on, he talks about how the tree of Adam Rishon would be like the mashal of a trunk, and then certain branches, and then smaller branches till it comes to the shleimus of what humanity is supposed to be. So I think that's talking about even without the Chet. There would also have been such an issue of Toladot.
Still.
What is that?
Still period. There would have been still.
Once he accomplished, but it would have been an accomplishment. But how much avodah would have been necessary? I mean, if he would have done what he's supposed to do on Friday afternoon on Erev Shabbos, how much longer would have been taken? Would have been more to accomplish till Shabbos, or would have been only on that Erev Shabbos would have been everything already. So I don't know enough about that. I don't know. Just like a point, just pointing out that here, when he talks about the new plan after the Chet, so he makes mention that there are different levels in Olam Haba, each person according to his level. Maybe we have to find more information about what would have been if not for the sin of Adam Rishon. Now, Oz Yiral talks about the fact that since man dies after the sin, so the new plan is that man dies, so the neshama and the guf are separated temporarily. Since it was decreed death upon man, as we mentioned, and this composite, this man, this creation of man, that's combination is merged with these two halves, guf and neshama, and they have to separate from each other. The neshama and the guf are separated, zman ma, temporarily, and then they're going to rejoin again. So it's necessary that during that temporary separation of the neshama and the guf, so each half has to have a place appropriate to whatever is desired to accomplish during that separation. When the neshama and the guf are separated by death until Tchiyas HaMesim, so what's going to be? What does the guf do? Where? What's accomplished by it? What is the neshama? So they both have to have a place in that interim between death and Tchiyas HaMesim. As we said before, that the guf, in order to make an overhaul, to get it back to what it was supposed to have been, and to get out all the filth that it brought into itself because of the sin, so it's necessary that it should decompose, it should go back to its basic elements, and it's whatever it's made up of should be again decomposed, deteriorate. The whole volume in the offer, a love yashuv, and since man's guf, the body, is created from the earth, so he returns to the earth. After the sins, Hashem told Adam that you are dust and you're going to return to the dust. So that's that the guf returns to the dust temporarily until Tchiyas HaMesim. Just to point out that the guf doesn't only mean the physical, tangible body which returns to the earth, is also the part of guf that we talked about the whole time about the animal life force that's in man. Means man has a life force. That life force also is considered the guf. It is, as we'll say later on, it isn't just the physical, tangible body. The emotions, the thoughts, the memories, the different faculties of man that you can call the life force is also considered guf. He calls it later on hadak sheba guf, like it's the most fine, highest level of gufanius, even though it's not tangible, but it's still considered guf. So that also is included when he says that it gets decomposed, whatever that means. What happens to the neshama from death until Tchiyas HaMesim? During that time that the body is decomposing in the grave, what happens to the soul? What happens to the neshama? So he says the neshama also the neshama who's zocha means that it's a neshama who's waiting to be rejoined with its guf. It is of those neshamos that succeeded in life, and they're going to be rejoined with their guf. So it has to wait until the guf is going to be ready. What happens to the guf? The whole process, it happens to the guf that it has to be decomposed firstly, and then to remain in the ground whatever time it's supposed to. There's a point over here that it's not just the decomposure and then the rebuilding. The fact that it stays in the earth for a certain amount of time is also something inherent. Just to point out that the Ramchal in other places, when he talks about the world also, he talks about the Churban Olam, that it's the 7th millennia, that the whole 7th millennia it's talked about the Churban Olam, and then it's going to be rebuilt. So that Churban is also a certain stage. It's a stage of that also is accomplishing something. The fact that it's in that limbo state is also a tikkun of some sort. I don't know what it is. We will see the decomposure and then to rebuild it, that's already it. But he says no, there's also whatever time is necessary to remain in the earth, that's also accomplishing something. So as long as the guf is going through this process, so it's necessary that the neshama has to wait for it. It's not ready. The partner is not ready to the neshama is waiting for the guf to go through whatever process it has to go through until it should be able to re-enter. But the neshama needs time, and it needs a place during that time that it's waiting. It needs a waiting room, so to speak. Where is it going to wait? At this point, the neshama doesn't have anything on its own that has to be fixed up, but the guf has something to be fixed up. So the guf is going through its process to get re-cleansed and overhaul. But what is the neshama doing during that time? So he says that it has to have a place to be during that time. So for that purpose of having the place for the neshama during the time that the guf is undergoing its decomposure and whole process that's necessary, there's a place for the neshama, and that's called Olam HaNeshamos, the world of the neshamos. It's a place only for neshama, not for guf. The guf is not there. It's only designated for the neshama. And just to point out, just to make it a little bit more understandable, that's what is referred to as Gan Eden. When we talk about Gan Eden, Gehenna, so Gan Eden is talking about the place for the neshama. It's not a place for the Tchias HaMesim. Gan Eden is not the permanent. Olam Haba is the term that's used for the ultimate schar. And that's what he mentioned before when he wanted to make the point of Olam Haba. He said, Zman Gmul Amiti, the true ultimate reward is going to be Achar Atchiyah Ba'olam Sheis Chadesh, Olam Haba. But Olam HaNeshamos, or what we call Gan Eden, is not the permanent ultimate reward. That's only the place for the neshama alone until Tchias HaMesim. The place for the neshama alone until Tchias HaMesim.
Adam Rishon was in Gan Eden, no?
Right, so the Gan Eden of Adam Rishon is something in this world. Right, there's something in this world. And even though the Ramchal says it was very spiritual level, but it still was in some place in this world. And there is also mentioned in the Ramchal, in Mamar Yikom, talks about Gan Eden HaElyon or Gan Eden HaTachton. There might be something that's also in this world that's called Gan Eden, but here he's referring to a Gan Eden of Olam HaNeshamos that seems to be talking about Gan Eden HaElyon. There's something about the neshama also being Gan Eden HaTachton. There is such a distinction between the upper Gan Eden and the lower Gan Eden.
You have mentioned already in the last week or so that there's Olam Hazeh was meant to be Olam Haba.
Right, but it's not. But now we're talking about after the sin, and it doesn't work that way, and it is going to eventually become.
Right, but Adam Rishon, so then a Gan Eden for him was he's
but that would still be
around building place to transform into a Olam Haba.
Right, that's true, but that's still
corrected himself at that point of this sin.
Right.
He would have made Gan Eden into Olam Haba.
True, but in the stage that he didn't yet do it,
right.
So that will be called Olam Hazeh.
Right.
So not Olam Haba. Right. He said he could have transformed it. We also are transforming our Olam Hazeh to Olam Haba, but it has to go through a process of decomposure and then to be rebuilt.
But he could have done
without decomposing. True. So here, just to get the terminology, Olam HaNeshamos is referring to a place designated only for the neshama without the guf, from death until Tchias HaMesim, and when they're going to be rejoined, that's going to be Olam Haba. Here he uses the word Olam HaNeshamos. In a different sefer, he uses the term Gan Eden. Shabot tikanasna neshamos hazakos achrei tzeisen min haguf, into that Olam HaNeshamos, into that world. So the neshama enters those pure neshamos that they are zocha to be waiting for Tchias HaMesim. So
don't need Gehenna, no?
What is that?
The ones that don't need Gehenna.
They don't need Gehenna, right? Gehenna is not mentioned over here. I don't know why he doesn't talk about it over here. He talks about it later in the Sefer, and he says Gehenna is going to be for those neshamos that really are going to get also Gan Eden, but they have to go through a cleansing process first.
So that's why it says that you're zakis.
Right, but also even those that have to go through the cleansing process of Gehenna also eventually will be to Gan Eden also, until the guf is ready. So the Olam HaNeshamos is a place that the neshamos that are pure, that are zocha, they stay in that Olam, and Mokam HaManucha, which means a place of pleasure. Manucha doesn't just mean rest. We'll see in the next paragraph that is a place of schar. It has reward. As long as the guf is going through whatever it has to go through, the neshama is waiting in Olam HaNeshamos. What happens in Olam HaNeshamos? During that time, the neshamas are residing in a level, in a high level, and in an enjoyment. There's an enjoyment in Olam HaNeshamos. Gan Eden, as we say, Gan Eden, Gan Idunim. It's a place of delights, of pleasure. Similar. It's going to have some similarity to that which is going to be given to them in the true time of reward by, as we mentioned in Olam Haba. Means that, as we said, that not every neshama is the same. Just because you get into Olam Haba doesn't mean they're all the same, different levels. So he's making a point that in Gan Eden also, there's also Hana. It's not the same Hana as Olam Haba, but it's similar. And each neshama is on its track. I mean, if it's a kind of neshama that's zocha to a certain level of reward in Olam Haba, so there's going to be something similar to that in Olam HaNeshamos of that level. It means each person's level is also makes a difference in Olam HaNeshamas just like it makes in Olam Haba. In Olam Haba we said there are different levels. Olam HaNeshamas is also different levels. And each level is similar to that level that is going to be in Olam Haba. But it's not that. It isn't the same level as being in Olam Haba. Surely the level of each neshama in Olam HaNeshamas is measured according to the actions that it did in this world. According to the same actions that he did is going to be the barometer for which level he's going to get of Olam Haba. That's the same actions that is also used as a barometer for which level he gets in Olam HaNeshamas. But the true perfection that is destined for those who merit it, not the gufa, not the neshama can attain it until they're rejoined the second time after the tchiyah, after tchiyas hamesim, after the revival of the dead. That's the true eternal reward. And whatever is going to be in Olam HaNeshamas is only temporary, and that's only for the neshama, and it's not the ultimate reward. So now we understand why he said in the previous paragraph, the Gmul HaAmiti, in contrast to here, this is not called the Gmul HaAmiti. It's not called the true ultimate reward. It's also a reward, but it's not the true ultimate reward. It's only the neshama alone, and it's not the same level of reward either. And now, Oshid Beis is going to talk about something else that the neshama gains. So far, he just said that the neshama is waiting. The guf is not ready, so it's waiting for the neshama to get ready, for the guf to get ready. So the neshama has to have a place to stay, not just wait around and be turned off. It's still existing, and Hashem is giving it reward. So it has Olam HaNeshamas. But it didn't say that there's anything that the neshama is benefiting by being there, besides getting reward, but not that it's getting any kind of aliyah, not that it's being elevated. The guf, it has to transform from all the kilkul that it got in, so it has to, the kilkul of a chet adam harishon has to be cleaned out of it. So there's something that the decomposure and whatever that happens to the guf, that's necessary to get it out of that filth and to be able to be zochet olam haba. But the neshama, l'chora, doesn't have anything to gain by being in Olam HaNeshamas besides just enjoying. That's what we learned so far. But now Oshid Beis is going to continue to say no, that there's a great benefit that the neshama also gains by being in Olam HaNeshamas. That's going to be the next subject. If everything's good, if anybody has any questions, please. Besides what we just talked about, that Olam HaNeshamas is a place for the neshamas to reside as long as they're waiting for the guf. The word mitzapos, mitzapeh means to wait. So besides being a place for them to wait for the guf, there's a great benefit for the neshama themselves. The guf is also going to afterwards indirectly benefit from whatever the neshama benefited. That's going to be nogea when they get back together again. But the neshama is benefiting by being in Olam HaNeshamas besides just enjoying. Besides schar, there's a benefit. It's getting some aliyah, some elevation, which wasn't explained yet. The point that I'll try to say it first as a preview, just to say that it's a pretty long sentence now, so try to get a general hakdama and then to see it inside. He's going to say that the neshama is not able to be what it's really supposed to be. The fact that it has such a partner, the partner of the guf, which is very a low being in comparison to the neshama, so that holds back the neshama itself from getting to its true level that it's supposed to be, even though it deserves it. The point he's going to say is that even when a person in this world is a neshama and a guf and he's doing masim tovim, so the neshama is really getting elevated more and more. As he's doing mitzvahs, the neshama is getting elevated more and more, and it should be changing. The neshama is getting elevated because of the mitzvahs that it did. But the fact that it's connected to the guf, and the guf is mekulkal, as we said that the chet adam harishon was mekalkel the guf in a way that it's impossible to get that out. It has to be decomposed. So as long as the neshama is connected to the guf, the neshama itself is held back from shining. That's the word shining is going to use. Whatever it really is, means the essence of the neshama is not able to reveal itself. It's not able to be put into fruition. It's not able to actualize its true level because it's connected to the guf. That impediment is taken away by death. That the guf and the neshama are separated, and then the neshama is free to be itself, so to speak. It could come to its fruition of whatever it deserved to be. So that's something that the neshama gains by being separated from the guf and being an olam neshamos that it didn't have while it was connected to the guf. So let's see it inside. Since the decree on man that he shouldn't reach his perfection only after death, even though he really deserves it in his lifetime, because as he goes on, if he wouldn't deserve it, then he wouldn't be able to get it afterwards either. There's no more progress that's done in the olam haba. The only way to get any kind of merit is only in this world. So the merit that the neshama is eventually going to arrive, is going to reach, is only because of the actions that it did in this world, and it already deserves it. And even though it deserves it, it still can't reach it because it's connected to the guf. If the neshama didn't deserve it in its lifetime, in this world, then it would never be able to attain it. Because the only time to acquire any kind of perfection is only in this world, before death. After today, in this world is the time and the place to accomplish. You can't accomplish in olam haba. And olam haba is only l'kabel scharim. So even though the neshama deserves whatever level that it accomplished, but it's not able to. It's not able to be that level that it really reached. Od nimshach min hagzera zo sheneshama kol zman heyosav haguf olam hazeh shabra dovuk bo sheyev sheshayipod mimeno legamri tiyeh gam hi chashucha v'amuma. It follows from the fact that the gzera was on the guf that it can't reach its shleimus only after death. So the neshama also, as long as it's connected to the guf, and the evil is davuk bo. The evil is what's the word for davuk? It's cleaving to the guf. Bo is the guf. Whenever you see Lashon Zachar, it's always going on the guf, and Lashon Nekeva is going on the neshama. The neshama is feminine, and the guf is masculine. So he says that the ra, the evil, is cleaving to the guf, and the neshama is connected to the guf. So that connection holds back the neshama also from shining the essence that it really is. It's impossible for the neshama, or it's impossible for the evil to separate from the guf, to separate from the evil. As we said, that it's a kilkel that can't be separated only after death and decomposure. So tiyagam hi chashucha v'amuma, say it, feminine. The neshama is also darkened and dimmed. What did he say so far? That since the guf is mukulkal and the neshama is connected to the guf, so the neshama is not able to be the level that it attained. Even though it really reached that level, it's not able to be it. Even though through the good actions that man does, so really it is acquiring for itself this perfection and nobility. But still, it's not able to become revealed. That word we had before in Os Yud about being hizdar neshama. So we said that we'll see what that means. Here's where it's coming to it: that the neshama is not able to shine. The neshama is not able to shine the level that it really is. Even though that's the level that it really attained. It attained a very high level, but it's dimmed. It's not able to give out the shine that it really deserves to be. Everything is suppressed. The neshama's level is suppressed within itself until the time that it's going to be able to be revealed. But it's not its fault, it's the fact that it's connected to the guf. This impediment, this interference that it's not able to shine is only because of the guf, not because of itself. And the guf is also losing out from the fact that the neshama is not being able to shine out its essence. The guf is also losing out because it's not able to be purified. The neshama's job is to purify the guf, but the fact that the neshama is not being illuminated, it's not able to shine, it's not able to illuminate the guf. So everyone's losing out. The neshama is losing out, the guf is losing out. Amnam Gam Himav said this, but don't think that. But now he's pointing out that the neshama also loses out. The fact that the neshama cannot shine its true essence is not only detriment to the guf, that it's not being illuminated, but it's also the neshama itself is losing out. What is the neshama losing out by not being able to shine its essence? If anybody has a better word than shining, I would accept it, but this is the word that he uses the whole time, so we'll just use that word. So he says 2 points. That the neshama is losing out by not being able to shine out its essence. First of all, we said that it's suppressed in itself, and it's not able to spread out its shine. That means that there's somebody that has a koach, let's say the koach.
Spread its radiance.
Spread its radiance. That's good. Okay, that's good. Radiance is better than shine. Okay, so like a person has something b'koach, but he's not able to do it b'fol. He has potential, but he's not able to give it out. So that's considered a loss. He's not able to be what he is. He's not able to come to his full potential. And the second of all, that the neshama is not able to illuminate the guf. That's also a chesaron even for the neshama. You could say it's like a teacher that's not able to teach, or somebody who has a trade and he's not able to do it as an accountant. There's not nobody to do the cheshbonos for. So he's not doing what he could do. So that the fact that the client's not getting it, that's one chesaron. But the fact that the one who's able to accomplish is not doing his job, that's a chesaron even for the doer. The neshama was made in order to purify the guf, and now that it's dimmed, it's not able to do that. So that's the chesaron. The neshama is losing out. You'd say like the Gemara says that so it's like the mother cow that's not able to nurse the calf. So that's a chesaron for the giver also. And if it would be able to do that illumination of the guf, it would be accomplishing a great perfection. The fact that it's doing a zikuch for the guf. He says 2 points what the neshama would have gained if it would be able to illuminate the guf. One is that fact that it's doing what it's doing, a shleimus of perfecting. The fact that it's perfecting, it's called hatava. They have two partners and one partner is able to influence the other one in a good way. That's called a shleimus. The fact that it's improving, like you have two chavrusas, and one of them, or a rebbe and a talmud, whatever the case would be, two friends, two neighbors, and one is able to influence the other one to be elevated and gain. So that would be a perfection for the giver, and he's not able to do that now. Also the fact that that's what it's made for, that's its nature, that's what it's supposed to accomplish. That's what it was created for. And any creation is considered a shleimus when it does what it's supposed to do. When a donkey does what it's supposed to do, it's a shleimus for the donkey. When a car is doing what it's supposed to do, it's the shleimus for the car. It's doing what it's supposed to do. So the neshama, since it's supposed to be mizakech the guf, it would be a shleimus if it's doing what it was created for. But the fact that it's held back, so it's being held back from its shleimus. It's lacking that shleimus as long as it's not able to do it. So all this is the problem that the neshama has while it is connected to the guf. Just to sum it up so far, that's one more small paragraph after that, but the sum of what he said so far is that the neshama is also losing out by being connected to the guf. Why is that? Because the neshama, even though it gained merit by the ma'asim tovim that it does, but it doesn't it can't, that's only potential. It's like energizing a battery. You have a battery that can be connected to a projector and shine out, but here it's disconnected from the projector. It's not able to shine. It's not able to give out its radiance. Why is that? Because it's connected to the guf, and as long as it's connected to the guf, so then the neshama is also affected, and that's considered surely a detriment for the guf, that it's not able to be affected by the neshama, but it's also the neshama itself is losing out. And he says 2 reasons for that, and then an A and a B, and one and then 2A and 2B. The first thing is that it's not able to give out the shine that it is. Besides the fact of the guf receiving it isn't able to radiate what it is. So that's losing out. It's suppressed within itself. The second point is that it could have affected the guf and illuminated it. And the fact that it's not doing that, it's also losing out. Why is that? A and B. A is because to affect the guf in a way that's illuminating it, making it more spiritual, that would be itself a shleimus. You're perfecting the guf. And the second point is that anything that something was created for, when it's not able to do what it's created for its purpose, so that's considered that it didn't come to a shleimus. If it's able to do what it was created for, that would be a shleimus. So all this is blocked out and impeded because of the connection of the neshama to the guf. So now he says,
are we in the olam hazeh?
no, this is an olam hazeh, as long as the neshama, yes.
But the Rav already said the olam neshamos is a very high place.
Oh, so now that's what he's saying. That's the benefit. This is just the background to say what the problem is, and now he's going to say, the next paragraph is going to say now, but that all is fixed up in olam neshamos. Now the guf and the neshama are separated. The guf has to go through what it's going through in the grave, but the neshama is gaining that since it's not connected to the guf anymore, so now it's not held back, and it's able to give out its shine, the radiance of its essence that it had earned during the time in olam hazeh. All this, the previous paragraph was to say the problem, and now he's going to say that the remedy was to be in Olam HaNeshamos. When the neshama leaves the guf and it goes to Olam HaNeshamos, over there it's able to spread out its radiance according to what it deserves, according to its actions that it did in Olam Hazeh. Even though it was suppressed the whole time, now that dimmer switch is let go and it gives out its full radiance. Whatever it attains over there from that letting out this radiance, whatever it gains over there, it gets strengthened from whatever it became weakened being in the guf, since it was suppressed the whole time. So the neshama got weakened in his words, and it's getting ready for what it's going to do when it's going to rejoin the guf. Then it's going to be able to, once it's going to come with all of its shine in Olam Hazeh. So the neshama had to be suppressed in order not to affect the guf, because the guf wasn't able to accept it. But once it's going to be in Olam HaNeshamos, then the neshama comes out in its full radiance, and then when it's going to come into the guf with its full radiance, it's not going to change the guf. That's the whole purpose, that the guf is supposed to be purified by the neshama. So even though in this world this purification process is held up because of the kilkot that the guf had, and it can't be changed, and therefore the neshama has to be dimmed, that's only in this world. But once the neshama is separated from the guf, so then the neshama goes out, radiates its full potential, and then when it's going to come back into the guf to be rejoined with the guf, then it's going to do that purification that it should have been able to have done if it wouldn't have been a sin of Adam Rishon even in our lifetime in the world. But since it isn't possible, so then it's all held up. But that's only temporary while we're in this world. But once the neshama is separated and then reunited with the guf, then it's going to be able to bring it to its full elevation and purification that it has gained through its actions in Olam Hazeh. There's more here, but we'll stop here. We'll recap again next week, and then Derech Hashem finish the parak and say some more points that we left out in this time around. Yashikach.